What happens when a police chief's son believes he's above the law and assaults a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran in broad daylight? That is exactly what unfolded in Providence Municipal Court one cold November morning. Derek Cole, 32, son of Providence Police Chief Thomas Cole, walked into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom thinking his father's badge would shield him from consequences. Yet what happened next would shock everyone present, restore faith in justice, and leave a lasting mark on the city's history. 3 days prior, Robert Martinez, a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran and retired Providence firefighter, was walking his dog in Roger Williams Park when Derek Cole, driving his BMW recklessly, nearly ran him over. When Martinez raised a hand to signal Derek to slow down, Derek stopped, confronted the elderly man, and shoved him to the ground, causing a concussion, 3 broken ribs, and a fractured wrist. Witnesses later reported that Derek bragged, "Do you know who I am? My dad is the police chief. Call the cops. I dare you," before driving away, leaving Martinez bleeding on the pavement. Security footage of the assault went viral, and the city demanded justice. The courtroom was packed that morning with reporters, concerned citizens, veterans groups, and court watchers accustomed to Judge Caprio's highly publicized cases. What nobody knew was that Police Chief Thomas Cole was seated in the back, in civilian clothes, silently witnessing his son's arrogance and misconduct. Derek entered the courtroom with the confidence of privilege, dressed in an expensive suit with a designer watch glinting under the lights. His smirk drew immediate disdain from the audience. Behind him, his attorney Marcus Richardson, one of Providence's top defense lawyers, followed. As Derek passed Robert Martinez, who sat with his arm in a cast and wearing his veteran's cap, he didn't even glance at the man he had injured. Judge Caprio, renowned for his compassion but equally firm sense of justice, called Derek to the bench. "Mr. Cole, you are charged with assault and battery on an elderly person. How do you plead?" Derek arrogantly replied. "Not guilty, Your Honor. This whole thing is ridiculous." The courtroom collectively gasped at his disrespect toward both the court and a decorated veteran. Judge Caprio removed his glasses, his signature gesture signaling that leniency was no longer an option. Calmly but firmly, he challenged Derek, recounting Martinez's injuries in the security footage. Derek, defiant at first, insisted he barely touched the veteran. The judge's piercing gaze cut through his arrogance. "Mr. Cole, assault is assault. It shouldn't matter who the victim is. Your lack of accountability says everything about your character," Caprio said, setting the stage for a confrontation that would not only test justice but also a father's values. The tension in the courtroom escalated as Judge Caprio turned the focus back to Derek Cole. The young man's arrogance was palpable, but the gravity of the situation was about to intensify. Judge Caprio, calm but resolute, asked Robert Martinez to stand and introduce himself. Slowly rising with the support of his uninjured arm, Martinez spoke with quiet dignity. "Your Honor, my name is Robert Martinez. I served in the United States Marine Corps from 1968 to 1971, completing 2 tours in Vietnam. I was awarded the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star for valor. I am also a retired Providence firefighter. 3 days ago, this man assaulted me for asking him to slow down in a public park." The courtroom fell into stunned silence. Martinez's words were measured, respectful, but they carried the weight of a lifetime of service and sacrifice. Judge Caprio nodded to him and then turned back to Derek. "Do you understand who you assaulted?" he asked. Derek shrugged, dismissive. "Some guy who was in my way." The disrespect was tangible. Whispers rippled through the gallery as veterans and civilians alike struggled to contain their outrage. Then, the courtroom erupted into a new level of shock. Judge Caprio addressed the back of the room. "Chief Cole, would you please come forward?" Eyes turned toward the back row, where Police Chief Thomas Cole rose slowly, revealing the pain etched across his face. He had been watching his son destroy everything he had built. His reputation, his legacy, and the values he had worked decades to uphold. Derek's smug composure faltered instantly. "Dad, what are you doing here?" Chief Cole's voice was steady but tinged with heartbreak. "I came to see the truth for myself," he said. Walking down the aisle, he carried no badge, no authority, just the heavy weight of a father witnessing his child's failure. Judge Caprio gave him the opportunity to speak directly to Derek, to challenge the false belief that privilege and family connections could shield him from accountability. Chief Cole did not hesitate. "Derek, your actions are inexcusable," he said, voice breaking slightly. "I have spent 35 years serving this city, upholding the law, protecting the vulnerable. I never once believed my position gave me or my family the right to break those laws. And yet here you are, disregarding everything I have taught you. You assaulted a decorated veteran. You disrespected the law, this courtroom, and our family's values. For the first time that morning, Derek's bravado crumbled. Tears welled in his eyes as he realized the magnitude of what he had done. Not only to Robert Martinez, but to his father and the principles he had spent a lifetime defending. Chief Cole's words were devastating, yet infused with love. I love you, son. But love does not mean shielding you from the consequences of your actions. It means holding you accountable, so you can become the man you are meant to be. Derek Cole stood frozen, his tears betraying the arrogance that had dominated him all morning. The courtroom watched, captivated by the rare moment of vulnerability in a man who had just, minutes before, believed he was untouchable. Chief Cole's words had pierced the bubble of privilege that had insulated his son from consequences for so long. Judge Caprio allowed the silence to hang, giving Derek a moment to absorb the weight of the reality around him. Derek, Chief Cole continued, voice steady but laden with emotion. I have seen what you did. I watched the security footage. I read the hospital reports. You assaulted a man who risked his life for this country, who dedicated his career to protecting the citizens of Providence. I failed you in teaching respect, humility, and accountability, and that failure is evident now. But I am not here to shield you from justice. I am here to ensure you understand what it truly means to face your actions. Derek's lawyer tried to intervene, offering excuses and arguing for leniency, but Chief Cole silenced him with a simple gesture of authority. You've said enough, the chief said. This is not a negotiation. My son must understand that privilege does not replace responsibility. Derek's shoulders slumped, the fight leaving him, replaced by shame and realization. Judge Caprio, witnessing this extraordinary father-son exchange, spoke with a calm firmness that commanded the entire courtroom's attention. Mr. Cole, he began, the law applies equally to all. Today you have witnessed what it looks like when accountability is prioritized over protection, when integrity is valued over familial comfort. Your father, a man of authority and principle, chose justice over convenience. That choice is not only courageous, it is transformative. The judge paused, letting the words resonate. Derek's sobs grew quieter, replaced by the dawning comprehension of the consequences he had long ignored. Chief Cole had demonstrated that real love doesn't protect someone from consequences. It supports them through those consequences, guiding them toward growth. Derek began to understand the magnitude of his misdeeds, not only legally but morally and personally. Judge Caprio leaned forward, addressing both father and son. This court will hold you accountable, Mr. Cole. But accountability is not just punishment. It is education, reflection, and the opportunity to change. You will face the law fully, but you will also be given a path to redemption. Derek nodded, finally acknowledging the gravity of his actions. For the first time, he realized that his life, his choices, and his character were under scrutiny, not just by the court, but by the father who had spent decades shaping his understanding of right and wrong. The courtroom, once tense with anger and anticipation, now hummed with the weight of this moral reckoning. Citizens, reporters, and veterans alike watched as Derek's transformation began not through force or intimidation, but through the unwavering principles of justice, love, and accountability, exemplified by both Judge Caprio and Chief Cole. The courtroom was silent, the weight of anticipation pressing down on every person present. Derek Cole, still trembling, faced Judge Caprio with a mixture of fear, shame, and newfound clarity. Chief Cole stood nearby, a pillar of quiet strength, his eyes fixed on his son with unwavering determination. The moment had come for the judge to deliver justice, not only for Robert Martinez, but for the values the entire courtroom held dear. Mr. Cole, Judge Caprio began, his voice resonant and commanding. You have committed a serious crime. You assaulted an elderly person, a decorated veteran who served this country and dedicated decades of his life to protecting others. Your actions were reckless, disrespectful, and deeply damaging. This court cannot overlook them. He paused, letting the words sink in. Derek's face was pale, his designer suit no shield against the gravity of the situation. However, Judge Caprio continued, this court believes in accountability paired with opportunity for transformation. You will face the consequences of your actions fully, but you will also have a chance to make amends and rebuild your character. Derek listened intently as Judge Caprio outlined the sentence. 90 days in the Providence County Correctional Facility. Do you under hours of community service working with elderly veterans at the VA hospital, 1 year of anger management counseling, and a formal written apology to Robert Martinez to be read in court, followed by a personal meeting. Additionally, Derek would create a video apology, shared on the Providence Police Department's social media accounts, explaining his actions, acknowledging his wrongdoing, and describing his path to redemption. Chief Cole stepped forward, reinforcing the judge's words. "Derek will also move out of my home," he said, his voice firm but compassionate. "He must learn to stand on his own, to support himself, and to understand that privilege is earned, not inherited. This is not punishment for punishment's sake. It is a necessary step in your growth." Derek's tears flowed freely now, but they were no longer tears of defiance. They were tears of understanding. "I'm sorry, Dad," he whispered. Chief Cole embraced him, holding him close. "I love you," he said. "Enough to let you face what you need to face. You'll get through this and you'll be better for it." Judge Caprio turned to Robert Martinez, who spoke with the grace that had defined him throughout the trial. "I don't seek revenge," Martinez said. "I only want this young man to understand that every person deserves respect, regardless of age or status. If he learns that, then justice has truly been served." The courtroom seemed to exhale collectively. Justice had been delivered, not through vengeance, but through a careful balance of accountability, education, and the opportunity for transformation. Derek's journey toward redemption had begun, guided by the unwavering principles of law, morality, and the profound love of a father willing to choose integrity over indulgence. 6 months later, Derek Cole walked out of the Providence County Correctional Facility a changed man. Gone was the arrogance and entitlement that had once defined him. In its place was humility, self-awareness, and a commitment to making amends for the harm he had caused. His 200 hours of community service at the VA hospital had become more than just a court-mandated requirement. They had evolved into a genuine effort to understand, honor, and assist the elderly veterans who had given so much for their country. Derek developed a deep respect for the stories, sacrifices, and wisdom of the men and women he met, including Robert Martinez, who had become both mentor and guide. The video apology Derek created went viral, viewed by over 3 million people across social media. In it, he spoke openly about his wrongdoing, his privileged upbringing, and the importance of accountability. Young people across the country saw firsthand what it looks like when someone faces the consequences of their actions and uses the experience as a catalyst for growth. Derek's story became a powerful example of how justice, when paired with guidance and opportunity, can lead to genuine transformation rather than mere punishment. Derek's relationship with his father, Chief Thomas Cole, also began to heal and grow stronger. Their bond, once strained by arrogance and entitlement, was rebuilt on the foundation of honesty, accountability, and mutual respect. The chief continued to support his son through anger management, counseling, and the challenges of independent living, emphasizing that love does not mean shielding someone from consequences, but guiding them through the lessons those consequences teach. Robert Martinez, the man whose life Derek had endangered, became an essential part of this transformation. Their face-to-face meeting, arranged as part of the court-mandated restitution, proved profoundly healing for both men. Martinez offered wisdom, patience, and forgiveness, helping Derek understand that true strength is not in power or privilege, but in humility, respect, and service. The Vietnam veterans' mentorship reshaped Derek's perspective on life, responsibility, and community. Today, Derek works as an advocate for veteran services, using his story to educate others about privilege, accountability, and the power of redemption. He speaks to Providence Police Academy recruits, demonstrating firsthand what can happen when someone believes they are above the law and how accountability can inspire real change. Judge Frank Caprio's decision that day did more than enforce the law. It saved a life, healed a family, and reminded an entire community that justice and compassion can coexist. The courage of Chief Thomas Cole, the grace of Robert Martinez, and the transformative judgment of Judge Caprio serve as enduring lessons. True love, true leadership, and true justice are measured not by protection from consequences, but by support through them and the chance to grow from them.